Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing yet another One Piece video because, well, I'm in my One Piece feels and I need to throw them out there. That's what this channel is for me to throw out my feels about things. Today it's One Piece. So I've caught up with the anime now and I just started reading the manga because I was like, I want to re-experience the story up until now. And the thing is, like, the anime just takes forever to get through. Speaking from experience, like with the anime I usually like catch up, wait a year, catch up again. And now I think I'm just gonna continue watching on a weekly basis and just continue like reading the manga. Because also, like, I feel like with the ending of One Piece, I don't want to get it spoiled for me from like manga readers, so I want to be able to read it when it comes out and then enjoy the end of the anime, you know? You understand what I mean? Like, I'm gonna continue watching the anime just because I really enjoy seeing the fights animated, because, well, sometimes animation can convey the fight better than a drawing can, so that's just why. But yeah, since I started reading the manga, I just kind of wanted to like do a little bit of a review of the manga from the perspective of an anime-only fan for now so far. So I just want to like give my view, like revisiting the story through the manga, really. That's basically what this video is going to be. So, I mean, I think it's interesting as a someone who has already experienced the story, like what's coming after, to like revisit the old story, and that's why I'm doing this right now. And I just kind of want to talk about One Piece, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so. So today I'm just going to be talking about the entirety of the East Blue Saga, which is perfectly the first 100 chapters. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through each arc and just give my thoughts on it, or my opinions on it. Just basically a little bit of a review, or just me just crying about the story, I guess. What's funny to me is a lot of people say that One Piece only starts getting good when you get to Arlong Park or Barati. Those are the two most often quoted as the moment they really started getting to One Piece. For me personally, that's always been Orange Town, the moment Buggy got introduced. So yeah, I don't understand the people that had to wait that long to get invested into One Piece. But anyway, that's a tangent, so let's just start with the beginning, which is Romance On. I love Romance Dawn. It's just such a good start to the whole story. Like, it's weird because in the anime they started with Alvida, and in the manga they start with Shanks, which arguably, in my opinion, is a better start to get you interested into the story. Because we already get like introduced to the concept of a devil fruit, which is already like a really nice piece of world building that Oda does in the beginning. And that's what he's really like, what One Piece is really known for, really, like just the great world building of the anime and the manga, like the story in general. Like, I keep saying anime out of habit, just ignore that please. But yeah, I would say that's a great start. We already love Shanks, and also like the mystery around the red hair pirates and Shanks is already like kind of present. And we still don't really know a lot about them, except for like the flashbacks with Roger that we got. Shanks giving his straw hat to Luffy is really important, of course. Like, it remains important throughout the whole story. Like, Luffy protects that whole thing with his life. And then we learn like it being passed down, which is also really great. And like, if you learn about it later, it's just like, wow, that's fantastic. Like, there's even more meaning behind the straw hat then. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it as well. Then further on we get Alvida, which is of course like the first like villain, quote unquote, which like honestly not that very impressive. For me, the most memorable part about the whole Alvida thing was still Kobe, like being inspired by Luffy to chase his dream to become a Navy officer, and that extends into the whole thing with Accent Morgan. Why I'm used to saying Morgans because I think of Morgans from like the news stuff, the World Economic Journal. That's what it's called. So anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the part with Morgan as well, because it's just serves as a great way to already show us that pirates don't necessarily mean evil, and Navy doesn't necessarily mean good. And that's honestly interesting to me that Oda presents this so early on in the story already, because most stories would present this later as like a sort of important, crazy thing that's happening in the world. But here it's like, oh no, this is happening, and it's happening often, so here you go. And the fact that Kobe is already like, oh, this is not supposed to be right, is already like a bit of a foreshadowing thing for what will happen in the future to Kobe, like even further than what we know now. Because there's speculation that Kobe will rise up to the ranks of admiral and will have to will try to like change things around there. Same with Smoker, but again, going off on a tangent. But I think it's really nice to already see that concept introduced so early on in the story. Also, like, it serves as the perfect introduction to Zoro, like, yeah, being all tied up and everything. And in the manga, he looks so menacing. Like, I can see why people in world would be scared of him. Like, oh no, bounty hunter Zoro. Because, like, he looks really menacing. And that's mostly, I think, because of the black and white style of manga really lends itself to something like that. And Oda doesn't really use very much screen tones or what it's called, so he doesn't really do that, and especially not early One Piece, so it's really it brings the moods together really, really well. And I think that's something that's done better in the manga than the anime, because of the limitations of just working with black and white. You get such interesting choices of shading which can bring in a lot of mood. Like I said, Zoro looks so menacing when he first looks up, like hanging there like you know, like it brings in so much energy. But that's basically like the beginning arc of One Piece. Like, there's not that much to say. Like, the most interesting part of it is, of course, like, I think Shanks being introduced, and the whole thing with Shanks is definitely like the most standout of all of that. But it's also like enjoyable to like read about the whole thing with Morgan. As like I said, Alvida is kind of forgettable, but just Kobe being really interesting, in my opinion. Like, of course, if you think about it differently, that's also fine. Okay, so after that we get the Orangetown arc, which is the introduction to Buggy, which is also really, really cool. I love Buggy to death. Honestly, I think I enjoyed this arc much more now that I already like see more of Buggy than I did when I originally watched the anime, because Buggy became a more fun character to see, I guess. I enjoy him a lot more now in the story, like with this whole horror thing, and then everything with him pulled down is just hilarious. So I enjoy this arc a lot more reading it now than I did watching it back then. Just because, I enjoy Buggy as a character more by now. It's also funny to see the flashbacks with Shanks now, because we've seen a lot more of Shanks and Buggy. Well, a lot. We've seen a little bit more of Shanks and Buggy on Roger's crew now, and they, like, you could tell they were really good friends. I mean, Shanks stayed behind when Roger went to Loftail just because Buggy was sick. Buggy is all like, oh, I cannot forgive Shanks because due to him I ate the devil fruit. But like when you look in the back, like in the flashbacks, like they're okay. Yeah, I mean, I get you can be kind of angry about it, but like they seem a lot more close than this would suggest. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that was like interesting to like retrospect about now, like seeing from, oh yeah, it's just a little bit strange, like some ways of Buggy acting that seem strange to me, but who am I to judge Buggy? Buggy is a strange guy. What my favorite thing about the Orangetown arc was Nami, because she's one very interesting to follow in my opinion, because you can already get some hints to what is to come in Arlen Park, like with her like stealing from pirates and having to buy a village. It's already hinted at, you know, and also like her like aversity to pirates, and like then being like, oh no, you're a pirate, I'm not working with you, and all of that. That's really interesting. And also like the already betraying of Luffy by selling him out to Buggy when she wants to work for Buggy to steal the Grand Line map and stuff like that. So it's an interesting like little like hinting of Nami's what's to come with Nami. So I really enjoyed that. Also, like, in the anime, I remember this, like, I binged One Piece, like, the first 100 episodes, I binged in, like, a few weeks after school, and I remember the whole thing with Choo Choo, like, tugging at my heartstrings, like, felt so sad watching that, like, the poor dog, and honestly, reading it still made me feel the same, so, like, Oda is really good at like playing with your feelings, and I tell you, Choo Choo was like the moment I was like, oh my god, why am I caring about this? And like there's a lot more of that to come with Oda, of course. But yeah, I was surprised to notice that it still got to me, like that storyline. Probably just because it's a dog, and that's just me, I guess. Then we have the Syrup Village arc, which is also including the meeting with the most important character of One Piece, Gaimon. God, I loved Gaimon. Like, it's just a stupid storyline, but it's like enjoyable. I remember, like when I turned on the TV, like here we don't really get anime, but we had the 4Kids dub of One Piece and like a dub of Naruto up until a few episodes, like not even a few arcs or anything, just a few episodes. And I remember turning on the TV in the morning and we got Gaimon, so that was always like fun. Like I think they actually stopped broadcasting One Piece after Gaimon, so that's really funny. Like, it's always a few episodes Gaimon and then it was over. So Syrup Village, I love this arc so much. I will always be biased towards this arc just because I love Usopp so much. Like, I relate to Usopp a lot, so that's why he's just my favorite Straw Hat. There's no way about it. It's just is what it is. But honestly, it's not just Usopp being my favorite character that made me like this arc. The arc is nicely paced and it brings a pretty good villain in my opinion. At least for early One Piece, it's a pretty good villain. I mean, Kuro was hateable, really hateable. Like, his actions were despicable. Okay, Morgan was also like a little bit of an asshole, but then like when you hear like Kuro talking about like posing with Kaya and then like trying to kill her and all that jazz, that made me really, really hate this guy. Honestly, also like Usopp's relationship with Kaya always gets to me. Like, it's so cute that he goes to her to tell his lies and she enjoys it instead of like the most of the village like hating, quote unquote hating Usopp for like his lies, and then you learn why he's lying and you're like, oh my god, poor boy. I also really love that he doesn't resent his father for leaving and that he's like actually looking up to him and like admiring him. And I love that little moment between Luffy and Usopp where they talk about Yasopp. That just, yeah, it just warms my heart a little bit every time. Continuing on with my love for Usopp, like the fact that he tried to warn the village and everyone was like, oh no, you're lying again. So when he went to fight the Black Cat pirates, he did it on his own because he was like, it's going to be just a normal day for my village. Like, I'm not gonna let you get to the villagers, I'm not gonna let you hurt anybody. And that's honestly so beautiful to me, especially because like the villagers kind of abandoned him because they didn't believe him. And he was still like, I'm going to fight for these people, I love these people. And that's what I love about Usopp, really. I love the fact that the Straw Hat, like the Straw Hats at that point decided like, oh, we're going to help Usopp, like he's trying to fight and be a man and we're going to help him. And my favorite thing about the whole ordeal though is when the villagers just notice that Usopp isn't yelling like about his lies and they're all like worried about him, because like it's really cute in my opinion. I love that. And what I love even more, at the end they decide not to tell the village what Usopp has done because he just wants them to like live a normal day, and it's beautiful because he's not there for the fame or the honor, even though that's why he tells his lies of the great Usopp, the great Captain Usopp, because he wants admiration. But that he decided to like keep secret, and just like such an important point for Usopp in my opinion. But yeah, I love the Syrup Village arc mainly because of Usopp, and I'm not even like sorry that I'm this biased, it's just the way it is. Barati is a chef's kiss. So good. So good. I understand why it's on like the top of a lot of people's like East Blue ranking, but still I just think it's ridiculous to have to wait till this point to start liking One Piece. That's just never been me. I really enjoy Barati, and I also agree that it's one of the better arcs in East Blue, but I think it's ridiculous to say that One Piece before that wasn't interesting. Now that's been off my chest. I think Sanji is a fantastic character. The way he acts makes a lot of sense when you get his backstory. The same thing with Usopp and Zoro, of course, as well. But I think every single thing, like just the way he acts, the way he talks to people, the way he treats people, all leads back to his backstory. Of course, extended in Whole Cake Island later on. But I'm focusing on what we know about Sanji at the point of Barati. Like, his devotion to Zeff makes a lot of sense. His love for cooking has always been really cute, in my opinion. And just his need to feed people that have been put outside by Carne and Patty. I don't know if I pronounced Carne right. It reminds me of chili con carne, so that's why I pronounce it like that. Sanji is a fantastic character. I've always liked him. It's never been my favorite or anything, but within the Straw Hats, he ranks pretty high for me, and I really enjoy his character, and I think Barati is such a beautiful arc to highlight Sanji. It makes a lot of sense because it's his introduction arc, but still, I think this is just a really great arc. The concept of like Don Krieg's fight with them is also really like, again, just such a hateable guy. Like, he just got fed and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take off the restaurant, it's gonna be my ship and everything. But also Mihawk. This was such a perfect moment because like Don Krieg is being hyped up as this undefeatable bad guy, like crazy pirate with this big armada, and he's strong and he's dangerous and he's the most dangerous of the East Blue. He comes from the Grand Line, all of that. And then Mihawk shows up on his little float and just like, away with your ship, I'm done with it. I was bored, and that's just so genius. This is the most genius, like this is such a genius introduction in my opinion. Because it's our first warlord that we get to see, and we also get like a small, how do I say it, a small introduction or explanation about what the warlord system is. And if you see Mihawk, you're like, wow, there are more characters like this guy who are just like so insanely strong they can just chop up like a ship and just be like, yeah, I was just bored. Extending then into the fight with Zoro, which is also crazy. Like, he's like, I only need a small knife to fight someone like you. Like, I'm not gonna use something big for something like so insignificant and everything like that. And this strengthens, of course, Zoro. Like, this fight strengthens Zoro's will to like become the greatest swordsman. He's like, he vows to defeat Mihawk, and it's just such a great moment for Zoro. Also, the scars on the back is the swordsman's greatest shame is such a great line, and like, it's just wow. I don't know what else to say. I just love Mihawk's introduction. Everything about it was perfect. What I found perfect about the Barati arc is also like the mentions of the Grand Line, like stating that Zev has been there, stating that Don Krieg has been there, Mihawk comes from there. It starts making us curious about the Grand Line, because we already had like a mention of it when Nami went to like steal the map from Buggy. But in the end, we never really got a proper introduction to what the Grand Line really is, and by now we start to get curious, like, what's out there? We want to know more, and I think that's so great because it needs some build-up. We need some hype for the Grand Line. I remember going to the Grand Line was such a crazy thing, and then we go there and it's like the new world, and you're like, oh my god, there's an even crazier sea. The last thing I want to say about the Barati arc is like this one moment that I feel the anime didn't do it justice. When reading the manga, it hit me even more. Like, it already had me a lot in the anime, but I think it's way, way stronger in the manga. Like, and that's the moments that Sanji just gets on his knees, bows down, and yells to Zeff to thank him and all that stuff. That's such a powerful moment, and even though it was pretty well done in the anime, because I got the feels seeing that, it just doesn't do it justice the way it is done in the manga, in my opinion. Just reading that, it hits so hard. But that's it for the Barati arc. Like I said, it's a really great arc. It's one of the better ones in the East Blue. The whole thing with Gin is really interesting to see, and I love that like a lot of One Piece YouTubers like tend to mention Gin as like, when is Gin coming back? And I love that Gin is still alive in the minds of One Piece fans. Because he actually was quite an interesting character. Like, he had an interesting fighting style. I mean, of course, by East Blue standards, like when we start looking Grand Line and New World standards, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Gin wouldn't hold up. Then we get to the second to last arc of the East Blue Saga, which is Arlong Park. Arlong Park, again, is such a fantastic, phenomenal arc. It's like the peak of East Blue Saga, really. I remember when I watched Arlong Park, though, in the anime, I wasn't all that interested in Arlong Park. I was much more interested in it, like, reading it now than I was watching it. And that's weird to me, because, like, when I think about it now, Arlong Park is like, a really good arc, and it's the perfect way to, like, start ending the East Blue Saga, in my opinion. We get our introduction to the Fishman, which is such great world building once again. Thank you! I didn't expect to be so emotional reading this arc. Like, the whole thing with Nami, like the moment she stabs her shoulder to get rid of the Arlong Park, like the Arlong Pirates tattoo, hit so hard for me. I love the fact that she later replaces it with a tattoo to represent Belmer and Genzo, which is basically kind of her father figure. Like, that tattoo is so sweet and cute, and I think it's just great. It's a great and strong moment in Arlong Park, and it just, yeah, the fact that that is the moment that Luffy also decides, like, I am going to help you, like, super serious, takes off his straw hat, puts it on Nami's head. Once again, the manga really lends itself to this moment, because, like, coloring out the eyes and the black and white just makes it much more intense than you can do with colors. So I love how intense that looked, and how much feeling was behind it. Also, after, like, the betrayal of Nami, even then Luffy decides, like, I am going to help you. I love that. She just looks at, like, he waits. Luffy always waits for permission, though. But Nami looks at him and is like, help me, and he's like, okay, no questions asked, we're doing this, we're helping you. And then he just storms into Arlong Park and he's like, you made my navigator cry. And I was like, oh my god, that moment hits so hard. Like, he just accepts Nami as part of the crew, just like that. She asks for help, he's going to help her, and he's like, you made her cry, you're not prepared to pay for it. And then also the guy stepping up and going into the fight is just beautiful. Also learning Nami's motivation behind it all, like, the pieces start to fall together, and it's so beautiful that she, like, takes the burden, like, a little bit similar to how Usopp decided to fight the other pirates on his own to save the village from, like, having the pain of it all. Nami takes it upon herself to try and free her village without help or from anyone. So that's, yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. That's probably 2 story beats. Like, Nami and Usopp are generally, like, considered to be from, like, the weakest characters in the crew, but I think their backstory and their motivation has always been very strong in that regard. I loved the fact that this is also the first time that we get all the Straw Hats actually, like, a chance to fight. But, like, Zoro gets his own opponent, Sanji gets his own opponent, and Usopp gets his own opponent. It's already, like, a little bit nerve-wracking to see Zoro fight Hachi, just because we already know how injured he is from his fight with Mihawk. And then during the fight we see the wounds opening up and him being harder and harder for Zoro to fight. And so we also get more to see from Sanji, which is also I always love seeing Sanji fight, at least early One Piece, because fighting with just your legs can be an interesting, like, thing to do, and it's fun to see what Oda tries to do with it sometimes, so I enjoy that. Yeah, and then also, of course, my boy Usopp fighting the Chu, was it Chu? I think Chu. Of course, like, he's not like Zoro or Sanji, he's not a monster, he has not absolute strength, but the thing with, like, Usopp is he has his own way of fighting, and at first he was just going to run away and, like, go and lie to the guys, like, oh yeah, it was so hard to fight, why am I still alive, nah. And then he starts to think about how, without a regard for their own life, Sanji and Zoro just jumped into the fight. And Usopp realizes, like, if I want to be a brave warrior of the sea, I'm going to have to be like that. So he turns around and he goes to fight, and I'm like, yes, this is the moment we need from you, my boy. And he uses his interesting arsenal of like, weapons and way of fighting. Like, Usopp isn't the smartest, but he's far from them as well. And he's not the strongest, but he has a clever way of fighting. And I love how clever Usopp can be. And Oda dares go creative and clever with Usopp's attacks, like just the rubber band thing where Hachi's like, oh my god, I thought the rubber band was coming at me. This works on some people, so, like, it's a valid way of attacking, in my opinion. I love seeing stuff like that, but it's creative, and I love a creative use of abilities or ideas to, like, win or get where you want to be, you know? And then, of course, Luffy gets free and he hands Arlong's ass to him. I love it. Like, he breaks down the room. Nami hates him. Luffy just smashing Arlong is just so hyped to see. It was so good to read. I love that. I have to say, though, you have, like, this one attack from Arlong. Is it Arlong Dart or Shark Dart or something like that? And in the anime, it looks perfectly fine because you see it animated, but in the manga, it looks really silly, in my opinion. I'm gonna put up some panels because I think it's absolutely hilariously drawn. It's just like Arlong just going like, flip! It's just so funny to me. I cannot take. Every time I saw a panel of, like, Arlong jumping out, I was just done. Okay, before I end my thoughts on Arlen Park, one honorable mention: Johnny and Yosaku are also just throughout Barati and Arlen Park very enjoyable side characters to see, just like their little relationship with Zoro. They didn't bring much, but just an enjoyable energy, really. So I wanted to like shout them out for a second. Then lastly, for the East Blue Saga, we have the Loktown arc, which I personally always enjoyed. It's a great follow-up to the Arlen Park arc, so it's like a shorter arc, and it's like a little bit of a gateway into what's to come into the Grand Line. Like, it literally ends with the Straw Hats on the ship breaking the barrel when stating their dream, so it's like magnificent ending of the saga. But I really enjoy Loktown, mainly for the reason that they introduce Smoker here. I always liked Smoker a lot. I am sad he's so underused in the story, in the whole story, really. Like, they sometimes like, oh, we should bring in a navy, oh, I'll just use Smoker, you know? I think the whole thing with Tashigi looking like Kuina has always been interesting to me, and it's sad that it kind of wavers throughout the story, like it's not as important anymore to Zoro that she looked like Kuina. But it was at that point really interesting to me. Also, the introduction of Dragon. Oh my god, so badass, so badass. We didn't know who Dragon was back then. We didn't know that this was Dragon. We didn't know that this was Luffy's father. All we knew was that he was like a wanted man, and he just kind of stopped Smoker from killing Luffy. That's all we knew about him. And yet, so badass. And like, I love there are so many mysteries introduced in the beginning of the series that still aren't like really solved for us. Like, we really don't know all that much about Dragon still. So yeah, of course the biggest moment in Loketown is when Luffy is on the execution scaffold platform. What is it? Either of the two. And Buggy is like planning to kill him. Like, Alvida comes back and we're all like, this is Alvida. And then like another devil fruit. Like, we get introduced to more devil fruits, and we already get the idea that Smokers is like a very powerful one as well. But we don't know about the concept of a Logia yet. But what's weird to me about the whole thing with the execution scaffold is Buggy being so prepared to kill Luffy there, just because we now know that Goldie Roger was of course like executed there, and Buggy witnessed it and was like really sad. So I feel like it would be kind of weird for Buggy to just decide to kill some rando on that same scaffold. Like, I don't know, wouldn't there be like any like emotional attachment to it? Of course, who am I to judge Buggy and how he deals with emotions? I just don't know how to deal with that. What I also like, very powerful moment is like any last words, and then Luffy just shouts, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," and you see everyone looking at Scuffle like, is this guy crazy? Yes, he is. Yes, of course. But yeah, it's really powerful. Like, Luffy is not going to let anything step between him and his dream, but also really easily like accepts dying for his dream. Like, they're like, "Oh, sorry guys, seems like I'm going to die," and he was so okay with that, just because he knew like, up until now I've been living towards my dream, so I can die knowing that I'm at least trying. Or at least that's my interpretation of it all. Like, Smoker was also like, when was the last time you saw someone smile or laugh when he was about to die? And it was Goldie Roger, so parallels, of course. But yeah, that was a really nice moment in Loketown, and I always love Loketown as a way to segue into the Grand Line. Your enjoyment of the Straw Hat really determines, I think, the way you enjoy East Blue. In general, East Blue is very entertaining, even with a Straw Hat you care less about. Like, it doesn't really matter that much, but I think it would like skew your ranking. Another thing I have to say is, reading this now, like especially with Arlen Park, I like Nami a lot more again. Like, I started like kind of getting annoyed with Nami over the story, and now having read this again and like being reminded of everything that happened to her, I like her as a character more now again. So like, it's kind of sad because I feel like Nami loses a lot of her, I don't know, whatever, everything that makes her likable kind of gets lost into, oh good, look, boobies, you know, like. So yeah, I do love Nami, and I was once again reminded as to why. But it's really like nice to enjoy the story again, and like in a different media than I was used to. Like I do read manga, but not that often. But yeah, I enjoy it, and I cannot wait to like continue into the Alabasta Saga. I will probably make a similar video to this about the Alabasta Saga, or maybe split it up into two because it is quite a bit longer than the East Blue Saga. But it was nice to like revisit the story a little bit and just reminisce about feelings and thoughts about it. It brought me back a few years, really. Either way, if you sat through all of this, I respect you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Comment your favorite East Blue Saga arc down below, or your favorite Straw Hat or favorite East Blue character. Just let me know. I want to hear your thoughts about this part of the manga slash series slash anime. Let me know in the comments below. If you're new here, maybe subscribe, maybe like, who knows, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!